Hello, everybody. I'm coming to you today to talk about this next unit, which is the American Definition Unit. Um, just to get some things out of the way, this is a very interesting unit. It's one of my favorite units that I get to teach throughout the year. And one of the reasons that it's my favorite unit is because this is a question that's really near and dear to my heart. I truly believe that it's the responsibility of citizens to really consider what our society is and determine what do we need to change about our society to make it better, and what do we need to keep to ensure that we don't lose ourselves in the process. And I think that is the nature of the political struggle inside of this country, right? On the very base, liberals are going to say that our society doesn't work the way that we want it to, and it doesn't involve things like justice. It doesn't involve things like a fair voice, and it doesn't give people a fair shake. Conservatives are going to say that if we change too many things, then we're going to lose who we are. We're going to lose the values that we've fought for so long. And that's at the very heart of the concern. That's what deviates those two thinking points. Um, I'm also very aware that I'm a political person, and I'm sure at this point you're aware of that as well. And so I don't want to leave you thinking that I am unbiased. I certainly am a biased person, and I own that. I'm not going to tell you my bias, although I assume you can probably figure it out for yourselves. But it's not my intention to bias any of the material that I'm giving you. Nor is it my intention to only give you material that kind of stands for my viewpoint. And so what you're going to find throughout this unit is I'm going to challenge you by giving you two different sides of something. Or I'm going to challenge you by trying to balance something very pro-American with something rather anti-American. And let us kind of look at both of those things at the same time, directly juxtaposing the two of them together, and try to come up with something, try to come up with a response. How does this make me feel watching both of these things in sync? Where do I fall between these two things? How do I react when I think of them together? Ultimately, we're going to be matching a lot of these things throughout the unit. So I'm always going to give you two things to wrestle with around the same time, and I'm going to name them for you, or I'm going to give you something and ask you just how do you feel about it. So, for example, we're going to look at, speech by Patrick Henry, and I'm going to suggest I can't make you watch a piece that's got some language and graphic violence in it, but I'm going to suggest that you watch "This Is America" by Childish Gambino. And what happens when you watch both of those things in the same sitting? What happens is you snap back and forward between a very old idea of what America could be, a very patriotic view, and a very new idea of here's what America is according to an artist, right? And what does that do when we have to keep both of those things in our heads at the same time? That's really the goal of this unit, to be thinking about two very different looks at America at all times. And if I'm doing my job well, then I'm going to try to present you with a lot of different artifacts from different eras that say different things about America. Your paper, when you're ready to write your paper, is going to be your own opinion, but I want you to support it with some of those characteristics. And we'll get into the details of that when we get to the paper itself. So, with that in mind, should be a very interesting unit. I think I'm going to be able to give you a whole lot of content, maybe more than you're actually able to watch, and give you some option in what you're watching, and kind of give you some guidance along with that option. And that will kind of continue to happen as I'm building the unit over the next couple days here. But I'm excited for this unit. I think you'll be excited for it as well. And even though it's a short unit and a short paper, I think it's an incredibly important topic, and one that will really carry out through the rest of the year as we make our way to our first American novel, as we make our way to our second American novel, as we make our way to our third American novel. This idea of America is going to perpetuate itself through the course. So really, this is more of a beginning place than an ending place. And I'm excited to get started.